doses of medications a year. So before, he holds about 700 different kinds. There's 700 rods, and we have to like constantly put like our our fast movers in there, and it's great. Everything is unit dosed, and it has a barcode. So because this uses a barcode, it makes it easier for us when nurses have to barcode scan their meds before they give it. So everything's barcoded. The days of having the pharmacist check everything that goes out of the pharmacy are gone now. So we still have pharmacists in the pharmacy to check those IV preps and manual pulls, but there were days when you would have 5 pharmacists standing in a row just checking drugs as they go out the door. So this has enabled us to put our pharmacists up on the floors, and they actually get to interact with the physicians and nurses and actually look at profiles and actually look at the medication, how it's being used, rather than making sure that this is the exact tablet that the doctor ordered. So that was kind of neat. I'll show you. I'd like it to order something. Let's see if there's anything. What happens is the physician puts in an order upstairs in the computer, and then a pharmacist has to verify it. So once it's verified by a pharmacist, the software sends it to the robot. The robot will then fill it. A label will come out, it goes on the envelope, slides through the conveyor, and it ends up here. And then our technicians are able to just bring them up to the floor right from here.
Wow.
Let me see. Is she on the phone?
She's in the room, but
I was gonna ask Aileen if she could enter something.
I did. I just sent her a few package numbers.
Okay.
Should come out.
Okay. Sometimes you have a beautiful here.
That's cool. So there's no vacuum tube transport yet to
Not
go
here.
from here to the.
Yeah. Why are there lights in
I'm sorry?
Why are there lights in this room, he said, because it's so automated.
this? Yeah.
It will automatically, he'll wake up eventually, but I'll show you if I open up the door and then shut it. It may, You could take a look inside if you want. It all runs on. You could actually. People like to go in. You can actually go in if you want, but it's the. It's the. This is the head of the robot. This is really what's doing everything. You'll see it when I close the door. It will spin, and it actually will read the barcodes along the side.
Does it just grab it by suction?
It grabs it by suction cups. It puts it on here. It will then take it over here, and it will dump it in the little chute, and it goes right into an envelope. It actually suction cups keep the envelope open so it's it works on suction cups. So we'll see if we could see if anyone else wants to come in, but. What's also nice is you don't have to put meds away anymore like we used to. You just give it to the robot and he knows where it goes.
Maria, can you talk about how we process our chemo?
Sure.
And how we do that?
Sure.
Are you appropriate for this group?
That's pretty cool.
Um,
I wonder if they do like refrigerated storage too.
So what about any medication that needs to be refrigerated or is liquid?
It wouldn't, yeah.
You have to
you
still have to do that
right,
normally.
Right.
Yeah.
Chemotherapy is a little bit of a different process. Now he has their attention, John. So you see, it's going to fill it.
Get in?
No.
Okay.
So what this is doing is automated thing. We do have certain processes that require really intense pharmacist overview. And one is our chemotherapy process, like Don had spoken about. And the way that works is a pharmacist actually, we have a pharmacist that's certified in chemotherapy and oncology, and he actually works with the physician one-on-one. And he'll enter the electronic order. The physician will sign the electronic order. The pharmacist checks the electronic order, and then the mixing pharmacist checks the electronic order. So we have a lot of checks in place for our chemotherapy. But because of automation, we're really allowed to keep up a lot of our other programs like that.
Any other questions from our guys? Anything?
Just from a security standpoint.
Narcotics are all stay locked separate, they're done manually, and then they're delivered up to the floor and locked again. So when a nurse needs to take narcotic out, they go to, we have active machines, they go and they'll sign out a narcotic, and everything is reportable. So we're able to run every machine in the house to see who took what and for the patient.
Does make me sad for telling ensemble. Wow. So that's the machine that we were working on that was going to come
Recent years since this tower opened, which is 10 years, when was it? 7. Okay, so he's 7 years old.
Any updates happening to this?
Well, we have PMs that they come out, the company comes out, and they change the parts and they just
With the technology?
the technology's been about the same.
precursor project.
How to get the medicines to the floors then?
A technician will bring them to the floor. So a technician is gonna come and take the
Microbiology
envelope.
testing here,
And the technician
or
will bring them.
extensive DNA kind of stuff. We do, think about emergencies, okay? So we can do, what can we do? Flu and RSV and enterovirus, those kind of PCR tests that we do. So I'm thinking you guys are talking PCR when you're talking molecular, right? So we do those, we have little kit tests for them, small instruments that do those for us. Because, as you know, to have a regular PCR lab, you have to have a clean room and a dirty room and a reagent room and special people and all that kind of stuff. We don't need that here. We're just a community hospital. So I'll show you where, we have a Gene Expert is the instrument we do enterovirus on. We're going to be able to do HSV on that soon, we think. We also have a BioFire. Are you familiar with BioFire? Okay, so we just started doing the respiratory pathogen panel recently, like a week or two ago. We started doing that. And they've been doing it downtown for a while, but it picks up, I think, 22 respiratory pathogens, viral, bacterial, pertussis, all kinds of stuff it picks up. And it takes about 1 hour, So that's been a great advance, because if a kid's really, really sick coming in, they don't know what's wrong with them. We can get them a result in about an hour from when we can start the test. Very expensive. I think our cost is at least a couple $100s per test. And that's, most tests around the lab are not nearly that much. So it's expensive, but if it gets the kid into the right treatment area, the right isolation, it's pertussis, they make sure that the family's getting screened and stuff like that.
Is it covered by insurance?
I don't know. I mean, I don't see the final bills, so I'm not really sure. I haven't heard that it's not covered, but
Every insurance is different here.
yeah. So I'll show you what we do for hematology, chemistry, blood bank, and some of the PCR testing. But the things that we don't do here, like microbiology cultures, some of those things, we have a lab downtown that's got an extensive microbiology department. They just started doing the MALDI protocol, or they're working with MALDI. Do you know what that is? Okay. So that's going to really greatly decrease our turnaround time for blood cultures. And I think that's going to have an ID system for other bacteria, for other sources at some point. And so we're trying to stay on the cutting edge of all that stuff so that we can get results back quicker, get people on the right antibiotic quicker, get them out of here. Get them in, get them out, And so the hospital invests a lot in that kind of technology so that we can try to stay current with everything. And it's always a battle when we want to get new equipment, but we are very good at justifying what the outcome should be with the projections and that. So we always include all that kind of stuff. We do blood bank here, so if we have anybody, like we have a lot of maternity here, and of course surgery, all that kind of stuff. We can do pretty much whatever you need in blood bank here or at the downtown hospital. If there's a weird situation where somebody has an antibody to something that we can't figure out what it is, we have reference labs for that. And then we use the Quest reference lab in Chantilly, Virginia for most of our send-outs that we can't do locally. Okay, so I think I'll just show you. Oh boy, we got more. Come on through. Let's just kind of gather in this area. Most of our samples come in our tube system. If we have things that are drawn by the nurse staff is supposed to identify patients exactly the same way that everybody else does. They ask the patient their name and date of birth. They label at the based on the armband at the bedside, and then they send us the samples. We have a phlebotomy team that goes out and draws blood. We have a specimen collection device that reads the barcode code on their armband and prints off labels just for the test that's ordered on that patient at that time. So all these things, the reason I'm telling you that is because labs have a bad rap for doing the wrong test on the wrong sample. But if the sample we got has the wrong name on it, we usually don't know. So when they get the sample in, it's generally already barcoded. They put it through a process in the computer to receive it so that the computer knows that the sample is here. The text, it comes up on a pending list for the text, so they know it's here. And then after they finalize it, it comes off of our list so that everybody knows it's done. And that the TV monitor up there, that shows that we don't have much going on in here right now. See how there's only about like 5 samples down on the bottom? If every time we get a stat, chemistry, coag, hematology, it goes on the board, and then the first few minutes it's white. After it's been here like 15, 20 minutes, it turns yellow. After it's been here 25, 30 minutes, it turns red. So anybody walking through, if somebody's got a board full of red here, there's something wrong and somebody needs to go help them, and they better be asking, sending out some flyers. That's how we keep our turnaround times under control. Emergency room, we try to get the most frequent tests done and back to them within a half hour of when we receive it here. Now it might take a half hour to get here from the ER, but once we get it, that's when our clock starts, and we get a half hour. And we reach that about 90% of the time. And we try to do things to standardize it as much as we can so that the ER can rely on that. The biggest problem we have is when you have a hemolyzed sample, which is a blood draw issue, but you guys know what hemolysis is?
Yeah.
Then you can't do much with that chemistry-wise. So then once we spin it down and see the team-wise, we have to ask for a redraw, and that puts a big delay on everything. But it all kind of starts here with the tube system and with sending it through. Let's walk down this way. This is our automated department right here. So this is all hematology, coagulation, and chemistry gets done right here. Everything reads barcodes, downloads the test, runs, the tech runs the test. The results go back into the computer, and depending on how we have that instrument set up, it might auto-verify if it's within certain limits, or the tech has to look at it, make sure that it looks reasonable, and then they will release it. 1 or 2 people handle all the hematology, coag, and chemistry in this area, and so it's really busy, but they're responsible for calling the criticals. If it needs to recollect, they will tell the lab assistants to get a recollect. Everybody that does testing here has to have a technician license at bare minimum, but almost everybody has a technologist license. In order to work on your own and do high complexity testing, you have to have a technologist license. And so in Florida, most of us have 5 technologist licenses: hematology, chemistry, blood bank, hematology, and micro. So most people have a bachelor's degree who do this job. Everybody has to pass a national exam. And here, since we're all cross-trained, everybody here knows how to do all of our departments. So there's, sometimes we have trouble recruiting people because they have to have a technologist license, bachelor's degree level for all 5 licenses, So I'm having trouble recruiting people right now. But anyway, that's what all that is. That's our chemistry analyzers there. They're on the track. Now there's the Siemens track that goes all the way down here. We can put samples on the Siemens Streamlab track, and it will read the barcode, it will centrifuge the samples, and it will load the instruments for us. And then it runs the tests, and either the tech reports it out or the computer automatically reports it out. But this is great because it cuts the hands all the time. You don't have to carry things around and use them and all this stuff. It all stays on a track. And our goal is to put everything on a track eventually. This is our manual department. We've got our little biofire over here that we destroy everything. We've got our genome over here. Everything that's a kid test, kind of a manual process. I'm going to step down so they can hear me. Everything that requires manual handling is done in this department. So all the WBC differentials, gram stains, pregnancy tests, rapid HIVs, fluid cell counts, all that kind of stuff is here. That means this work is maybe 10% of the total work. So 90% of it being up there. That way, they're not stopping to do all this manual kind of intervention. They're just cranking them through. So that's why that's automated and this is manuals, depending on the technology and how much hands-on time you have to do. And so, again, that's the board up there that shows that they've got some RPRs and a urine. RPRs are never stabbed around here, so they're not going to ever light up or anything because they're not stabbed. But that way, they can keep track and know what they should be getting. And if they forgot to verify something and send it out, it's still got a pin, so they'll know that it's up there. And our blood bank is back in this section. And as I was telling you, we can do pretty much any kind of blood bank that's needed. We have FFP, we have platelets, we have cryoglobulin, and we have packed cells. So somebody draws it down, we use a blood bank armband system that helps ensure that we've got the right patient blood and getting cross-matched with the right donor blood and getting transfused to the right person. All that has to match. And we have newborns here. We do transfuse newborns here, which is a different kind of a practice because instead of giving them a unit of blood,
That is ordered on the patient for safety precautions. For example, if they're in restraints or if they're nothing. Since discharge instructions, Heather will show you the process.
I mean, if they're not supposed to leave it.
Oh no, that will be the next entire day in the hospital. If they do it, hold the volume. They have like a little sound alarm sound.
Yeah, so this guy's not supposed to be here.
They lock the door.
Active TV tapes.
Actually, if I can get you two to kind of scoot over a little bit. Starting with the smart rooms, on the outside of our rooms is called, we've got a little screen here, it's called Room Link, and I'm already popping in with our badges. So what this is it just kind of gives us a flash point before we enter a room about a patient. Nothing HIPAA sensitive, just a little bit of information. Like for instance, this is a test patient in here, so everything is, not real. But this patient here is showing that it has an allergy, to latex is what that little icon shows. And depending on what specific things about them, we have contact out here that will pop up there, and it's all different contact, whether it be special contact, airborne contact. I know it's hot up here, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's okay. And that kind of gives, we educate this to our patients, we educate it to their family and any other visitors, coming in. That way they can look at that to see, what they can and can't do with the patients. If they need to do hand hygiene, if they need to wash hands in and out, if they need to put on a gown or gloves or a mask, that will all be there, not just with the icon, but with some verbiage as well, as far as that goes. What else it will pop up here will be like if they're NPO where they can't eat, so there'll be a little icon on there. So that's for our food services to tell them, no, don't bring that tray in there. I know they ordered food, but they can't have it. So it's just kind of like a first line visual for that. Now you can see that the screen is green, so green means that there's a patient associated with this room. When I step into the room, we have these little badges. Here, all of the nursing staff has badges, and it's basically like a locator, but it also kind of signals where we are on the floor. We can also tag items like IV pumps, poles, bladder scanners with the tag, and then that way we can find that a little easier as well, because that stuff is very hard to find. So if I step into the room, it should turn yellow, and my picture will actually pop up. It takes a few seconds for it to click. My picture will pop up on there too. So that different color is a lot easier for us to find staff on the floor. If we're looking for somebody, we're not walking down the floor yelling their name or trying to look into every room. It gives us an indicator that there's somebody in that room, so we can see that first thing down the hall, and then we can, as we get closer, we can see who is actually in that room. Any questions on RoomLink?
So the patient's face would never show up here.
No,
Yeah.
no sensitive information.
Like
Patient's
personally
face,
identifiable.
their name, their age, date of birth, none of that will show here. The only thing that you see here as about the patient, it's gonna be that green, so we know a patient's in there, the room number, and their MRN number, which is, that's the only physical aspects of the patient that you'll see. Mhm. Ready? So come on in. It's not a huge room, so we're gonna have to kind of squeeze in here.
So sorry.
Kind of like Netflix is on here, actually. So when we have a patient that's admitted to the room, all of this starts opening up. If you go into one of our rooms where there's no patient in, you can't even really get to the TV. So, and that we did that specifically for our employees because we didn't want our employees coming in at nighttime watching TV or being able to play, you know, all the cool features that we have on the smart rooms. So we tried to limit that as much as we could, that access, and make it basically all about the patient. So when the patient comes in and they're admitted to the room, they actually have options of different languages that they can choose from. However, this sometimes makes it a little difficult for us because if they choose one of these and, you know, then they're asking us questions to navigate through it, it's kind of difficult for us to figure that out if we don't speak that language. So obviously English most of us prefer as far as this goes. And then, so this starts it. Next thing that pops up for them is videos, 2 videos. One video introducing them to the hospital saying thank you for choosing our system, and it's a message from Dr. Weiss, who is our CEO. And the video is filmed from his standpoint. The next video is a hospitalist video because a lot of patients are not familiar with hospitalists. They want to know why our doctor is not coming in to see me. You know, he's right across the street. Why can't he come over here and take care of me? So that video is filmed by our hospitalist explaining what the hospitalist is and what their role is while the patient is in the hospital. Some of our patients want to see a hospitalist when they leave. Well, they don't have offices. They don't see patients on the outside, and that all of that information is in there as well. All of our videos are at about a 3rd grade level. They're very easy to understand, very, you know, easy to comprehend. What we don't have, unfortunately, is the different videos in different languages at this point. We are working towards that to be a little more cultural sensitive in that aspect, but at this point we don't have that. Next thing, let's see, I can kind of click in here. If I could get this keyboard. So we have the keyboards, they come off the wall, or the patient they use. Some of our patients don't care to use keyboards, some of them are just not that technology savvy. They can actually use the nurse call button, which I don't know where it went, and navigate through the TV, because a lot of our patients just want TV, you know, and that's fine. You know, it's an option, they can have it, not a problem. So, once we get in here, I don't know how far in the videos I'm gonna have to go. They're mandatory videos. We don't have to watch them very long. I think I can export them.
Another veil-trained man.
So that automatically pops up, the next one pops up. And then this is the home screen. So this from here, this is where they can navigate anything that they want. The care team pops up, which being a test patient, I'm the only one that's established on the care team. However, if it was, you know, one of our other patients, you're gonna have the nurse, you're gonna have the CT, and we're eventually gonna add the doctors, but we have yet to add them to that care team. It's a little more difficult, you know, you're admitted to a doctor and that doctor kind of changes and then they consult other doctors and everything else. So they're trying to figure out all of those tactics to kind of get that. So every time it changes, it can be changed to that day and that time so that patient knows who exactly who would be coming in to take care of the patient. they have options for my calendar. So different things that happen, we can put in here. Obviously, they haven't watched the video for the hospitalist. They haven't done the welcome video. So those are things that are on there, so they can always go back and re-watch or watch for the first time. We can also add education videos, which are great because not always can we explain to the patient exactly what they want to know about maybe a procedure or their diagnosis in, you know, simple terms. Sometimes we just get caught up with that. So there's over, I don't know, 200 and some videos that they can go in, and even if it's not their diagnosis right now at this admission, they can look at all kinds of different diagnoses and just watch, like, it's like 5 to 6, 7 minute video on that. And what happens at the end is there's a couple of little questions so they can answer, or they can call the nurse back in and ask questions at that point, and we can kind of make sure that the education was well received, or if they have any further follow-up questions. The really nice thing about that is we can assign those videos on our computers. So once they watch that video, the education piece automatically charts that education was done with that patient after they've watched 90% of that video. So that's really a nice part of that for charting for us nurses. My education, that's where they can go and find those videos. And then Need Something is actually a feature that they can go into and select a group of specific texts. I need to go to the bathroom, I would like some water, I want to go to the chair, I'm ready to eat, certain things like that, and that actually will send a text straight to the nurse's phone. TV, they have just the regular TV. They have the movies. It's not quite like Netflix, but a little bit like Netflix. We select about 20 movies, newer movies every quarter, and put them on here, and the patients can go on there and watch some movies interrupted, all different genres of movies. Games, they have an option to go on here and play games. Just basic computer games, nothing extravagant, solitaire, Minesweep, basically, basic computer basic games. Internet, they can go on here and get on the internet, so it's a computer as well. They have free reign of this. The first thing that pops up is a list of preferred sites. Medical sites are number one. And then of course there's Google and everything else, so they can go out there and do that. They actually, one of our patients, the first week we had this, jammed our entire internet system because we weren't prepared for them to actually go on and use so many sites, and he actually bought a car from his bank. so it was quite comical for all of us because, we had to go in and research and figure out what happened. So actually we had to bump up some of our internet accesses and give a little more there. So. Relaxation movies they have on here, and this is just a couple of, well, I say a couple minutes. It runs probably about 15 minutes, and it's just like the white noise. There's a babbling brook, there's a river, there's a waterfall, there's rain in the tropical forest. So it's kind of a nice little just therapeutic relaxation. They can go on here and they can see and find out about hospital information as far as the whole history of the hospital. They can also do donations from our room because that's where all of our stuff comes from really here at NCH is a lot of donations. We have a lot of people out in the community that donate so much to our hospital, which makes it easier to provide things like this along with Cerner. They can go on here and look at the cafeteria menu. It's not really the menu, it's just the times that the food comes to the rooms because we actually have a hostess that goes around. They carry iPods and they stay, iPads, and they're stationed to a specific floor. So they only have that floor. They go around, they take the patient's orders morning, noon, and night for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then they are also accessible for the patient throughout the day. They can call straight to the hostess if they want a snack, if they want something to drink, anything along that lines, and then it's kind of like a personal service there. We have the education library. That's just another spot where they can get to those videos if they would so choose, and then the featured internet sites again. A lot of this stuff is repetitious just because we want to make it easy for the patient to find so they don't have to figure out which exactly icon it's under. So that's why we added them a couple of different places. So again, my calendar, my health information. This is where the patient can go in. Have them use, and it's just a little bit about actually their personal information. The reason we put a passcode on it is because we didn't want anybody coming in and getting into that. Any family member just going right in. Maybe that family member in the bed, the patient doesn't want anybody else knowing specific things. So what's in there is, patient name, date of birth, their social security number is on the end of that part is in there. And then some medication information, the medications that they gave us on admission on what they take. That part in here is really nice because maybe they told us something and that's not really quite right. So they can look at that and they say, no, I don't take that one anymore. It's this one that I take. So we can go back and change it in our computer system so we're going to make sure that we're not giving them anything that they don't longer take. My education there again. My opinion, this is put in there, and this is actually a real-time live survey that they can take right here from the bed. So if there's anything great going on that they want to tell somebody, we can come in here right away and find out what it is and, recognize that staff, at that point in time. So to let them know, because that's always a great thing, recognition. They can also put in there what is not so great, which at that point in time, one of the nurse managers, such as myself, would go in there and find out what it is, what's the problem, whether it be food, housekeeping, staff, pain control, anything, and follow up right then and there at that point in time. Because we do want to help those times, if they're not having a great stay, fix it right then and there, so that way the rest of their stay can be, at their expectation, and then leave happy. Need something, that's that same texting. Room controls, we don't have access to that right now, but eventually they will be able to control lights, temperature, that sort of thing from right here. Right now, we control the lights by the nurse call light or obviously on the wall, and then of course there's a temperature control right behind you, which does not seem to be working so well right now. Let's see, where was I? Language, they can go back in and change their language if they want. Parental controls, obviously not so much use for this floor, but in our pediatric department, and parents can go in there and set certain things, maybe they don't want certain TV shows, maybe they don't want them to have that full range of movies that are in there because we don't limit that, as from our standpoint, that they can do that in the pediatrics. And then theme, they can actually go in, and our theme here is, more set to the adult theme. It's just, white background with the blue, with the cute little icons. But they can actually go in there and there's like a monster theme, not scary monster, but, kind of like cute little kitty monster for the kids. And there's like a ballerina where it's pink and pretty and flowers. And so for the kids, it just makes it a little more friendly for them to play with. And then administration, this here is also a part linked to that, the survey that they could take. Any questions on this part? It's a lot. Yes?
How long has this been in place?
The smart rooms have been in place for about we sold out the tower about 3 years ago.
3 years ago?
We built this tower in 2007. 3 years ago almost, we let these two top floors shelled in. And when we got enough philanthropic money to do this, we built this and wired this from scratch to do this. So it's almost been 3 years. And now the whole tower here has this technology, and we're expanding this to the downtown campus. So all the beds I talked about earlier today will have this capacity within the next year.
And doesn't this assume that the patient is pretty alert and coherent?
We get a lot of them.
Do you have any metrics on the usage of this? Is it in fact being used
Yes.
much?
Yes, it's used quite a bit. We do have quite a bit of patients that come in, and I don't know so much on this floor.
We actually do have a good data collection tool. It goes through the hub we call it the bus that monitors everything.
Right.
We also have patient satisfaction data that shows a 24% increase in knowledge about discharge education, discharge medications, because now they have access to it, and we can push education and things to them. We have probably like 15 or 20 data points that we look at, and it's hard to benchmark because we're the first to do it, but we can now other people can benchmark against us going forward when they expand their programs.
If you don't mind me asking, how much does a stay here cost per night?
This is not charged for the patient.
It's not charged to the patient?
No, this is, as I mentioned, was all philanthropically funded.
Right.
This is something that enhance the patient experience,
Okay.
allow optimization of our nurses and staff's workflow.
Yeah.
And she's going to show you a little about the monitor above here and the blood pressure machine too. But each room is about $35,000, the cost
To outfit.
to outfit it. And again, every room we've had has been donated to. We actually set up a room downstairs with a mock thing, and the news had it on TV. We had our foundation, which is our revenue generating arm of the organization, brought people in, and we're very fortunate to live in this community where people really are giving to the healthcare system.
You mean 35,000 for the IT installation or for the whole?
Everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
Is this a standard solution? Standard software or kind of?
This is sort of proprietary stuff, but it was developed with us. We were the development partners for this system. So now, tomorrow at 1 o'clock, you have a system coming from Miami to look at this and other functions. So it's pretty cool being in the ground. It was a lot of work because being the
I can
first,
imagine.
you have to fix all the hiccups along the way. But yeah.
And design all the tabs and everything, and the icons.
Heather will also show you our Care Connect with our iPhones, but again, we were also the first in the country to do that.
Yeah.
So just integrating the EMR to the phones. So I got it. Sorry.
Did you have a question?
So what's the advantage of a kind of bespoke kind of system like this over, say, an iPad with a whole bunch of information on it, videos and things?
Advantages of this being versus an iPad. An iPad has certain limitations and functionality. This can be as big or as little as you want it to be. It's customizable. They write the code for this. On iPad, you're limited to what Safari can support, for example. You can only do so much, and it didn't lend itself to doing. We can customize and add on, as we get patient and employee feedback. So we've changed 1,000 things over the last several years.
Over and over. Just to make it better or more efficient for the patients. Like need something, that new the texting part, that's one of the newest things that we had added. Because, the patients can call us or they can call the secretary up front just by pushing the button. Because they just push the nurse call button, it just goes to the secretary. And sometimes the patient just says, I need my nurse. Well, what do you need? And, they don't really want to disclose what they need, but here they can just click on, I need to go to the bathroom. And that just automatically sends that text. So.
Another thing to think about too is with Apple, for example. We're a partner with Apple and our Care Connect device again. So when we found an issue with the program, it's an app. It's essentially just an app on your phone that's a secure app. We tell Apple, hey, this is a problem, we need you to fix it. So then we have to wait until Apple does their update, their iOS 8 or iOS 9 or whatever their update is. So we're kind of held hostage by an outside person's thing. So they've gotten better now. As this is a more marketable app. They can sell it to more organizations, so they put more money to their R&D. But it's really, we're very integrated with Cerner, so we chose to partner with the expert on this, and that's why we didn't go any other route.
You got infection control too. If they're all handling iPads and such, you can have.
Yeah,
It's hard
that's
to
a
clean
point,
them
yeah.
and other things.
If you've got the same issue with the keyboard, you've got to clean the keyboard.
These are embedded. Those are
Yeah.
embedded, so you can clean it. So.
Oh, okay.
That's okay.
It's all sealed.
Yeah, it's completely sealed and it is cleaned, just as the room is, it's cleaned after every single patient. Yeah.
So you now have C. diff. Congratulations.
No.
Ask everyone.
What about more patient data in terms of, the results from the labs and these kind of things? Is this being mirrored somewhere here? So
We have our portal. So we have our patient portal. And that's also a Cerner product, and they can actually get some access here, but they can go onto the internet, sign into their portal, and see their labs, see some of their test results, X-rays. And then when they go home, they get a bigger view. They can see the videos that we've sent them for discharge education from home. So we have about 12% of our patients are on the portal today. Our goal is to expand that. It was a 5% mandate by the government to do that, and we've more than doubled that. So again, kind of leading the way in technology with healthcare. So
So our phones that we carry now, what John kept alluding to, is an iPhone. It's an iPhone, and we have 2 apps that we sign into. All of the caregivers sign into. One of them is the Connect app. In this app, you can see on here, there's actually the list of the caregivers that are on the floor. So these are all the other nurses and techs that are on this floor right now. And the advantage of this part is before we had this, we had to have a piece of paper with all of their phone numbers, look it up, go there, try to find, where this one is, where that one was. Now we can just see that they're right online with the green dot. We can click on their name and it just calls right to them. Or we can text them. which is very nice too, because maybe it's something that I don't need right now, but I know that I'm gonna need lifting help in 10 minutes with another patient. So I can text the team and say, hey, anybody to, 6124 in 10 minutes for lifting help. So that kind of gives, a little heads up too, which it makes it a lot easier as far as connecting with the other staff members on the floor. Our other app here is, let me get out of this one, is called our inpatient app. And this actually is assigned at the beginning of every shift, in the mornings and the evenings, by the secretary, and it's a list of all of the patients that I would be taking care of that day. So the only patient, sorry, I'm not signed in. So the only patient that I have in here right now for me is this test patient. And with the test patient, nothing has been done as far as vitals or labs or anything as such right now. However, when that is done with any of our patients, we can actually look at the last set of vitals, the last set of labs right here on our phone. We can also look at medications. So if we're running from room to room or just kind of checking, seeing how the patients are, and we don't have our computer that has all of the computer information and the chart information, and the patient says, I'm really starting to get into a little bit more pain, when can I have some more pain medication? We now don't have to run out of that room, find a computer, sign into it, and let the patient know. We can actually just pull them up right here. We can go into their medications and say, oh, you know what? You are due for some medications. Let me go get that for you, because we don't keep narcotics in here. Or if it's another medication that we do keep in here, we have our med servers that are right here in the room. We can just go ahead and give that to them. So this is a huge help as far as that goes too. Patient satisfaction, response time, we're able to fix that and help that patient right then and there.
Now, that's integrated to what extent with the Cerner system?
Completely Cerner
Completely?
system. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And it feeds off of our power chart. So our power chart is where everything is documented for the patient's chart.
Right.
Physicians document there, all ancillary, all
Okay.
nursing, CTs,
Okay.
everything documents right there, and they feed right
And
back
you
off
can
each
read
other.
that
Mhm.
from your iPhone?
Yes, this is the floor iPhone
Right.
that we have to sign into. The nurses, caregivers have to sign them in and sign them out beginning and end of every shift. We
Right.
keep so many on the floor. Mhm. Yep.
So this actually is, this app is for iPhone only. They're looking at Android next, so that's coming. This phone works on a SIM card only. It's on Wi-Fi. Won't work outside these four walls. So it's kind of, you can't leave, so they hand it off in part of their report process. We also have a thing called BYOD, bring your own device, for physicians that have some physicians trialing, where it works on their phone. It won't work on the Samsung or Android or iPhone, so that they can, because they're not always inside the building, so they can communicate, text with the nurse and the caregiving team as well. But if Dr. Lewis puts in a stat order for me, it'll go right to that phone. I can sign it off in there and have to go back to the chart and sign it there. So there's two different ways to do it. So it just, again, using technology to streamline your process. More time with the patient.
I hate to ask, what happens if Cerner goes down?
We have downtime
does.
process. So
It
we have
does.
about a 98.9% uptime
Okay.
record, which is pretty good. We have some clauses built into our contract for downtime as well, so they work hard not to hit those clauses. But we have downtime processes, and we have view-only computers that you can still see results.
Okay. So it's like all cached.
We have boxes, so if we have to do paper forms, there is a paper form, but it's pretty traumatic because nobody knows what paper is anymore. So. But there's definitely a policy in place to
So it's
support
like a
downtime.
whole set of SOPs for manual stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And we have scheduled downtime as well, for updates and things like that. So we do prepare, obviously, in advance for that. Any medications, any, specifics that we need. And we usually do that at nighttime, in the middle of the night, when the majority of your patients are hopefully sleeping. And, but, unscheduled downtime, kind of happens. But, our IT team and Cerner are very quick. You call them, and they're very quick to start working on it and get it right back up. So we have a, really good partnership with that.
Do you integrate like Code Blue and all that kind of type stuff? Does that go push out to the phone? So if you had Code Blue downstairs and they needed people, do they do those type of things?
Not to the phone.
We integrate lethal arrhythmias to the phone. So if a patient's having a VTAC or a VFib or asystole arrest, it goes to everybody's phone.
On the floor they're on,
floor that they're
though.
on.
Gotcha.
On the floor
We
they're
still use
on.
that process for that.
Cool.
But the nurses and the care team can see what's going on with the patient on the phone. They're on the floor they're assigned to.
And it's like an emergency sound, you know, like a siren
Mhm.
kind of sound on the phone, so they know exactly what it is. We set certain alarms for things like that, so that way we could differentiate instead of it like, oh, it's just ringing or it's just a text or, you know, so we know that that's an emergency. The other thing that gets pushed through to the phones, because our CNAs also carry the phones from our tele system, is if that tele is off. You know, because we definitely need to know if the telemetry is off for the patient for whatever reason, or if the battery is running low, so we can get in there and change that.
What happens if there's like a glitch in the system and maybe a patient gets some data mixed up or maybe gets a treatment they're not supposed to be getting? Who actually is ultimately responsible? Is it Cerner or is it the hospital?
Knock on wood, we've not
We haven't had that, but we have a.
Yeah, knock on
we
wood,
have
it
a-
doesn't happen.
We have a
No,
99%, we have a 99% mandated barcode compliance
Okay.
rate, and we hit it, we're hitting that. That's part of our HIM7 certification, is that we have to have that level of barcode scanning. But if there was an erroneous entry, it would be Cerner and the nursing leadership team to correct that.
Yeah, trying to investigate what happened.
Yeah, and then the only thing I could think of is maybe if a wrong order was put in, but that's usually caught. It's caught by somebody as far as nursing, because you know your patient, you know, if they don't, you know, it just doesn't fit, or pharmacy will catch it. You know, so you have a lot of eyes catching, you know, orders as they come through, so.
So all these processes have to be verified by a nurse before it's actually entered into the medical record. And the only example I can give you for erroneous information was a month ago. All of our vitals automatically import from a device behind you guys over here, or a bedside monitor that's actually attached to the patient. We have to double click on the cell to bring it to the time cell, and it brings it in, and you have to verify it. It brought in the patient next door's vital signs in, blood pressure and heart rate. It's like, this doesn't look right.
Right.
They didn't verify or validate it, and they called the help desk. They recycled the switch. There's like the 9 different switches that you have to recycle every day, and it basically rebooted the computer,
Right.
and they fixed it. So every process that utilizes this type of technology has to be verified by a human being
Yeah.
to do this. So
Mhm.
I haven't seen anything actually go through and make it into an actual documented record.
Right.
That's one example I can show you, something came over.
So on our Dynamap, which is right behind you, which is, you know, basically the vital machine, what goes on with this is we sign into this as well. Just like our Cerner computer charting and everything else with our sign in and our password. We sign into it, we bring it into the patient's room, there's a little scanner attached, we scan the patient's armband, we take the vitals, and we press send. So that automatically then sends right into the computer chart and documents their vitals right into the computer chart. The nurse still obviously has to verify that and look at that, you know, after that's all said and done. But it definitely cuts down on errors, because before you had nurses going room to room to room, 5, 6 patients, writing down vital signs on a piece of paper. Hopefully they had the right vital signs to the right initials that they had on their piece of paper, and then entering them into the computer. So definitely errors can be, you know, or miss as far as that goes, because now the vital signs, just whatever they are on the computer, they get sent, they chart right into the chart. Cuts down on time as well. Doctors come in, you know, nurses are going room to room to room, taking vital signs, looking for those vital signs. What are they? What are they? What are they? But the nurse hasn't gotten around to putting them in yet. This takes about 30 to 60 seconds, depending on how busy the system is at the time, and sends them right into that computer so they can see them right away. The next thing over there is just the IV pump. Have you talked to them about that? Are you
Going
talking
to?
about that?
Sure.
for ICU?
So Bebron, for our German friends, Bebron is obviously, you guys are familiar with this product. We are the first hospital in the United States to integrate with Cerner with Bebron to do IV auto programming. In the Europe version, the space version is a little bit smaller. That has not gotten FDA approval yet for use in the United States. It's in Canada and Europe. So this is the version that's approved for the United States. That every 3 seconds that communicates to the medical record and sends data back and forth. So the nurses will get the same process for vital signs that Heather mentioned. You barcode scan the patient, you scan the medication, scan the pump, it automatically programs the pump, documents the medication and the medication administration record, and then sends all the information back to the I's and O's, the intake and output, and documents it so the physician and the care team know how much is going in on the patient. So again, development partner with Cerner on this, so as everything else. Tomorrow, actually, the hospital's coming tomorrow is looking to upgrade these pumps, and they have the old version on this one. So it's just another example of integration. The striker bed is actually integrated as well. So if there's fall risk on the fall alarms or out-of-bed alarms, weights go automatically into the chart. And then how do you want to explain what that monitoring the wall is?
Yep. iAware, right up here on iAware. This, unfortunately, again, this is a test patient and there's no information up here. But if the patient was actually here and had vital signs and had labs, you could actually see graphs and grids up here of trending. So any vital signs that are trending, you know, are they, you know, pretty much in that average range? Are they going up? Are they going down? This is a very nice view, especially on the floors during a critical time. You know, what, you know, the patient's going downhill, what's going on. We can kind of pull this up, take a look at it, and go from there. This is HIPAA sensitive, so the only reason that it's on is because I turn it on with my badge. It does not stay on all of the time, again, because there are some information up here that the patient may not want the family members to see. They may not want them to know what blood pressure they're running, or there's actually little tabs that you can go on to and see the medication lists and look into when did they have those last medications, so you can take a look up there with that as well. But if there are patient members in the room and one of the nurses just walk in, we can just press a button and it goes off. So that way, you know, nothing is viewed, nothing is seen. Now, if the patient, you know, or a family member says, wait, what was that? Can I see that? You know, we have to then ask the patient, you know, this is the results of your vitals, there's some lab work up there, there's your medication up there. Are you okay with your family members viewing that? At that point in time, that's consent. If they say yes, then we can pull that up. It's really nice too when we're talking to patients and, you know, they're asking questions, you know, in the middle of the day about their labs. And, you know, we have, you know, multiple patients. We can't remember all of that. We maybe don't have our computer with us. We can pull that up and we can go through that questionnaire at that point in time as well. So it's another real time. What John was talking about is our beds. That is our newest form of our technology, and actually it's only on 5 and 6 right now at this point in time. Our beds were taken by Cerner, added some equipment and software, have little scanning stickers on the side. So when our patient comes into the room, we actually scan the side of the bed and it populates in Power Chart, and what it does is it pairs that patient to that room. So from there, we can do all of our fall assessments, and what happens is we just click a button in our Power Chart, and the fall assessments automatically populate and chart for us. Whether the bed is in low lock position, how many side rails are up, what degree is the head of the bed at, how much the patient weighs at the point in time. So it's a really nice feature, just automatic charting from there too. Any questions?
I have one.
Yeah.
I've heard that everything was developed for Turner. What happens if they go out of business? Do you have some business continuity solution?
They never had that question before. I don't envision them going out of business, but if they did, I'm sure we'd have something. I'd have to defer that to our chief information officer. I can't answer that. But CERN's been around for a long time. We've been a Cerner partner since '98. So
They're the #1 medical informatics company in the U.S. So I think it'll be slim.
they just bought out 3 other IT companies. So hopefully they're pretty secure.
And they are worldwide.
Oh, yeah, they're
so
worldwide.
they're
We actually had a Cerner expert from Spain came over and did some education with our team on some of the processes. So they're all over the world.
Are you meeting with any resistance from physicians to various aspects of this technology, or are those days over?
I think the highest resistance maybe was when we went to computer charting.
Right.
You know, that
right.
was probably
That's famous, right?
We did that together as nurses and physicians, and I think that really helped because we were all learning together how it works. So
it was a struggle at first, but I can tell you our computer order entry rate for physicians is 92%, and our goal is 90%. You're always going to have those emergency phone orders or one-off orders, so you'll never be 100%.
Right.
But it was a struggle. It was a culture change, but we're past that.
Yeah, I don't hear much of that.
Yeah.
Can I make a comment? We also do things in the emergency department to offset that. We hired scribes, and those are college and pre-medical students that come and they follow us in the rooms, and they document in the computer when we talk to the patients, and that makes it a much more efficient and less painful thing for us. Because I type about 11 words a minute. If I go to 12, my accuracy is terrible. So so I'm a very terrible typist. So for the scribe, they go crazy with things. The coolest thing about Cerner, which has not been mentioned yet, And granted, these are great. I mean, all these things for the convenience, the patient experience, all the informatics, the efficiency, all that is very cool. But the coolest thing we've not touched on yet, and that's patient care, and that from the standpoint of the physicians, this saves lives. And we did a thing about 3 years ago. We did a sepsis project, and sepsis is an overwhelming infection of the body. And the national mortality rate is about 33%. So about a third of people die with severe sepsis. And so we did a policy here, and John is actually one of the champions of it, where we use Cerner to go in and look at the chart and say, okay, let's look at the vital signs, and let's look at the blood pressure, look at all these different lab tests, and have this, this intelligence in it. And basically, with that and early diagnosis, early recognition, early treatment, we've been able to drive the sepsis mortality rate from 33% to 6% last month, saving hundreds of lives in our community. And so as cool as all this is, with the glitz and the glamour and the videos and all the informatics stuff, it literally is affecting people's lives in a very, very positive manner in our community. And it's very cool.
Well said. Yeah.
Good.
So,
Okay.
Anything else?
Thank you, Heather. Any other questions?
Thank
for
you.
Heather?
Thanks.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Great.
So we'll go ahead and we're getting close in. We'll head down to the room. You can get a snack, something to drink, get your stuff together.